How much of your decision is about the fact that you're more likely...
There's no due respect here. You don't even have to have it.
Well,
I know you respect me.
It seems like you have tears in your eyes. Can you just talk about your emotions right now?
Well, I have it because I've been in a very emotional locker room with a lot of other guys that are emotional. And that's the way it is.
Ding, ding, ding. Class is in session. What's happening? If you were looking at this face and listening to this voice, you were looking at the best kept secret on YouTube. I am smoking. You are officially on the hot seat. What do we do on the hot seat? Say it with me. We set somebody's ass on fire. Who are we setting on fire today? These goddamn Dallas Cowboys. Whoo! These motherfucking Cowboys. You know what we're going to do today? We're going to play a little game. We're going to play the blame game. That's right. We're going to play the blame game. We're going to find somebody to point the finger at. The Dallas Cowboys are grossly underperforming at 6-6. They have too much talent to suck this goddamn bad, and we need to find somebody to point the motherfucking finger at. So I'm going to introduce you a few candidates on the blame game, a few contestants. So we're going to, at the end of the show, we're going to find out who we going to point the finger at. Whose fault is this, right? So y'all come on in, take a load off, sit down so we can go ahead and get this show on the road. Paying homage to the ghost to my left and my right. Let's get into it. So, first contestant on the blame game, who I think is a dark horse to win this competition, is Mr. Kellen Moore. Yes, sir, Kellen Moore, first-time offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. I called him Momo. First 3 games of the season, this motherfucker was white hot. Momo was the truth. And now he just Kellen Moore. Listen, shit, I don't really even know where to start. The numbers would tell you that Kellen Moore is doing a great job, right? But when you start to deep dive into it, he's not doing as good of a job as the numbers may suggest. I told you all in the preview show as it relates to the Cowboys that I thought that one of the reasons, or probably the main reasons why Scott Linehan was removed or relieved of his duties as being the offensive coordinator was because of Dallas' future performance in the red zone. Dallas was terrible in the red zone. Well, fast forward to, what is this, week 13 in the NFL season? Week 13, week 14. Just as it relates to touchdowns, Dallas is probably 17th, 18th in the league. That is about as average as you can get. And what's more is you're average with this level of talent on the offensive side of the football. You can look at, and I also told you all, first quarter of the season, give him an opportunity to get his feet wet. Give him an opportunity to get used to this play calling thing, to identify defenses, to identify weaknesses, to identify things that as the game goes on, you make adjustments. Give him an opportunity. Dallas plays their 13th game of the season this Thursday against the Chicago Bears, and I have seen very little, if any, growth from Kellen Moore. That's a problem because this team is in win now mode. They have the talent to win now. So you have probably this much of a window for mistakes. We don't really have any time to allow him to grow into that position. Whether he's going to be good or not, I don't know. But right now, it was probably a mistake giving the rookie the reins of the offense and having him call plays. I largely thought that, hey, you know what? He's going to have one job. Find more innovative ways to give Zeke Elliott the football. And there are probably 2 people who are the most upset people on the face of the planet. Number one, Zeke Elliott. He's probably the most pissed off person on the planet for only getting probably 17 carries a game. And then the second most pissed off person on the planet is probably going to be Jerry Jones because he's paying Zeke Elliott to be the highest paid running back in league history to only get 17 carries a game. There's something wrong with that picture. You look at the amount of money Jerry Jones has invested in that offensive line, and let me tell you something. I don't give a fuck what the critics say, what the pundits may say, what the so-called experts may say. Dallas still has the best offensive line in the league, whether it be by eye test, whether it be by talent, or whether it be by stats. They are number 1 in run blocking, number 2 in pass blocking. Kellen Moore, you are making this shit too goddamn hard. Give Zeke the ball. 17 carries a game? You have a guy, and Zeke, amongst all his talents, he has some of the best vision we've seen in the league in the last few years. You have an offensive line. All pros and pro bowlers littered across the offensive line. These guys are paid handsomely. That's your strength. Use your strength. That's not fucking rocket science, my man. That's football 101. What you do well, you find ways to make it better. Again, I said he's not very innovative, and I don't think he does a good job at in-game adjustments. A microcosm of what he's done this season would probably be what you saw against the New England Patriots. I understand the conditions. To target Amari Cooper 2 or 3 times a game, that's unacceptable, man. He's the number 1 receiver. He's probably the best route runner in football. He's probably the best route runner I've seen since Chad Johnson. And it makes it seem like Gilmore just handcuffed him. Make it seem like Gilmore had him in witness protection. Gilmore is a top flight corner, probably the best corner in the league, but you scheme ways to get your number 1 target open, right? Kellen didn't do that. And then this is against man coverage. The Patriots largely run a good amount of man coverage. You couldn't scheme your number 1 option open in man coverage. Kelly, my man, you making this shit way too hard, my brother. Give Zeke the goddamn football. Jerry is paying Zeke too much money to get 17 carries a game. You continuing to ignore that the strength of this team is the running game will have your ass unemployed. So, done with Kelly. Second contestant on the blame game. Somebody you might not be expecting me to talk about. Mr. Chris Richard. Yes, Chris Richard. Defensive back coach, assistant defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. Why not Rob Marinelli? Rob Marinelli has the title of defensive coordinator, but it's Chris Richard who's largely responsible for that defense because he's the person who calls the plays. I'm pretty sure they tag team as it relates to the schematic things that they do on a week-to-week basis, but he's the person who calls the plays. I don't know who said it last week, but right now Chris Richard is taking a real hit at his head coaching aspirations because ever since that Green Bay game, that defense looked average as fuck. And if you look at the best teams in the league, whether it be the San Francisco 49ers, whether it be the Baltimore Ravens, whether it be the Seattle Seahawks, whether it be the New England Patriots, I'm probably forgetting a team. Blame my head, not my heart. Those teams have top flight defenses. Seattle, not so much. But they're not bad. You can't be a top flight team and be average, especially with the talent on that side of the ball. You look at the fact that I think since the Green Bay game, they're probably giving up probably 22 points a game. I don't get it. They can't get pressure on the quarterback like they did last year. It seems as if lately you're starting to miss Leighton Vander Esch. Teams are starting to pick on Byron Jones with more success. I told you all the last time we had the discussion about the Cowboys. They missed a really good opportunity by not getting Jamal Adams. And although you see Heath make plays here and there, Heath is a big hole in that defense. That defense will be able to do so much more schematically had they had a talent like Jamal Adams. But I don't want to get off topic. I digress. This defense can't be average. Look at all the money you're paying DeMarcus Lawrence. Look at the moves you made to get Robert Quinn. Look at the moves you made to get Bennett. You have Jalen Smith at linebacker. You have a young but talented secondary. I don't know what – for some reason I can't put my thumb on what the problem is. But on the surface, it just seems as if they can't get enough pressure on the quarterback. And it seems as if lately they can't get out the field on third downs. If the opposition has a high third down success rate against you, you're making it increasingly difficult for you to win. That's adverse to winning, to be honest with you. This falls on his shoulders because, again, like I said a few minutes ago, he's largely responsible for the product you see on the field week in and week out for Dallas. If that defense doesn't come to play every week, and not just sometimes because they played well enough to win against New England, right? There are a few other teams they played well enough to win and they didn't. You need that type of performance every fucking week, not here and there. The great teams, the Super Bowl teams, have those performances every week. Teams are now starting to target and find ways to beat in Dallas defensively. That's not conducive to winning. Chris Richard, you can get your ass up. The next contestant, Dakota Rain. Coming to the stage, Dakota Rain.
It's actually Rain Dakota, but whatever.
Sound like he should be shaking his ass on the pole somewhere with that name. That got to be the fruitiest name for a goddamn football player ever. Anyway, Dak Prescott. Yeah, Dak Prescott. Now, statistically, Dak doing this thing. Dak doesn't look like a person who needs to be on this list, right? Dak leading the league in passing. He's having career. He's projected to have career highs in TDs, yards, completion percentage. Dak is playing pretty consistent. Here's my problem with Dak Prescott. You don't never know which one you're gonna get. There's a Dak Prescott I saw play in New Orleans earlier in the year. And I told y'all I was real hard on Dak Prescott. I told y'all that he's not the reason Dallas lost that game, but he should have been the reason they won. If you want $40 million, you got to make at least one motherfucking play. Dallas didn't score a touchdown in that game and lost a game in which the defense didn't give up a touchdown. Did Dallas score a touchdown in that game? I don't think they did. But even if they did, they didn't score enough. They didn't score 2 touchdowns, which was what probably would have been enough to beat New Orleans. And they didn't. I've been critical of Dak Prescott, but you know what? I have to give credit where credit is due. Dak has improved his game immensely. From his footwork to his accuracy to his throwing on the run, his ball placement. Dak has really gotten better. But it's almost like a Jekyll and Hyde type of scenario, because I saw a Dak Prescott play against the Minnesota Vikings, and that son of a bitch is worth every quarter he wants. Woo! Listen, man, that Dak Prescott will lead Dallas to the promised land, and he will cover up a lot of deficiencies. That's a Dak Prescott you need to see week in and week out. Not statistically, but just how he had a command of the offense, and there was nothing Minnesota could do to deal with him, because they put the weapons around him. He has no excuse. The Dak Prescott we saw in Minnesota is the Dak Prescott that'll have him with a Super Bowl ring and the largest NFL contract known to mankind. But you don't know which one you're going to get. So here we are having another conversation about consistency. To say you want to get $40 million a year or upwards to $40 million a year is your way of telling the public that I'm the best quarterback in the league. I'm the best player in the league. Best players in the league show up and produce these type of numbers every week in, week out. Now, he's a gamer. You know every week Dak going to strap up his boots and he going to bring it every week. That means he's going to play hard. Your production level needs to mirror your effort. It doesn't with him. It fluctuates. I don't see how Dallas is going to get any further than they are right now if he doesn't go into the level of consistency that team desperately needs at this moment or this juncture of the season. Because there's 4 games left. You could argue that it hinges on the play of Dak Prescott. Will he ascend to the level of the upper echelon quarterback, not just statistically, but all around? Or is he going to be the one that you don't really know what you're going to get week in, week out? Dakota Rain, you off the hot seat, back on the pole you go. Last contestant, probably the favorite to win this contest, Jason Garrett. Goddamn Jason Garrett. Mr. Consistency. I don't know if he's consistent with being mediocre or if he's consistent with being inconsistent. But the son of a bitch is about as inconsistent as you can get. You look at the longest tenured coaches in the NFL. He's one of them. Look at the rest of them and look at what they've done. Look at their resume versus his. And you know what? Over his career, he's had some bad luck dealing with injuries. The level of talent never matches both sides of the ball, meaning the offense will be more talented than the defense and vice versa. Well, this year, you don't have that motherfucking excuse. Jerry paid for a really good team this year, and you just not cutting it. One thing most teams do when they play New England is they play scared. New England does a great job of striking fear into you before the coin is even flipped at midfield. He fell victim to that. He didn't play to win. I think if you don't play to win, you're destined to lose. And you saw him make minor adjustments the next game against Buffalo. Still got your head beat in, though, right? The special team blunders against New England. That's coaching. I spoke to you about Kellen Moore earlier, first contestant. Kellen Moore won't run the football. Kellen Moore will call a pass play at the most inopportune of times. That falls on Jason Garrett as well. You are paying Zeke Elliott $15 million a year. How many of you are tired of seeing Zeke Elliott pass block and go out for passes on 3rd and short? 3rd and short meaning 30 inches, 3rd and 1, and 3rd and 2, behind the best offensive line in football. They'll actually be running those balls and getting first downs. Jason Garrett is letting Kellen Moore call these pass plays on these particular drives. There are no in-game adjustments. Although there is a level of culpability for Kellen Moore in that regard, that falls on Jason Garrett. The defense is average. I've pointed out to you, and you can even go back historically. Like, I think Dallas has maybe 12 turnovers the entire season. Now, don't get me wrong, turnovers have a lot to do with luck, but it also has to do with preparation because I believe luck is a product of being prepared. I think luck is a product of preparation. Everything you see, you're not getting ahead of the 8 ball here. You're being reactive. Now you brought in kickers this past week because you're tired of seeing Brett Maher miss chip shots. Unless Brett Maher is kicking for 60 yards, he ain't worth a fuck. He's about as useless as a one-legged man in the ass-kicking contest. But you keep him around. That's coaching. Not having enough men on the field. That's shit you see college programs go through, not necessarily in the NFL. Because not only are there enough men on the field, if there are, you call a timeout. Jason Garrett, you are royally fucking this up. It's almost like this is the motto. This is a team slogan for the 2019-2020 season. There are no excuses. He has nothing to hang his hat on. If he's kept his job this long, it's because here and there were reasons as it relates to why he probably should have kept his job, or there was a reason why they didn't produce a season that they wanted. Zeke got suspended this year. Romo broke his collarbone this year. Romo didn't play enough games. We overachieved because we had a rookie quarterback. None of that's going to fly this year, buddy. None of it. Every tool you need, it's in the toolbox. Your ass either is not using it or you are misusing it. So, we got 4 candidates. Go over. Kellen Moore, formerly Momo. Chris Richard, defensive coordinator. Dakota Rain, quarterback, Dallas Cowboys. And JC, the clapper, Jason Garrett. These are your contestants. Who's your winner? None of them. The winner of this show is a contestant I didn't name. It's Jerry Jones. All this shit is your fault. All of it. You went into this season and you all but said that Jason Garrett was coaching for his job. If you have Super Bowl aspirations as an owner, you've poured in the amount of money into this franchise that you poured in. You've committed to winning financially. Why would you hinge your Super Bowl hopes on a coach that you don't think can do the job. And the only reason why I say you don't think you can do the job is because if he could have, you would have given him an extension. You didn't. You said he had to earn his extension. I cannot say this enough. When your window is open to win, you have to strike. You have to take advantage of it. Jason Garrett should have been fired at least 2 years ago. At least. Here you are with, at the very least, a top 5 talented team in the league. And you are 6-6. You were at 500. You were in tears after that Buffalo game. Whatever level of fury and vitriol you wanted to direct at Jason Garrett, find a mirror and point it at yourself. Because all of this shit is your fault. The scapegoat in all of this is Jason Garrett. And I agree. He probably shouldn't be coaching the Dallas Cowboys. But if he is coaching, isn't it your job to, at the end of every season, have a conversation? Isn't it your job to evaluate? You're being reactive if you fire him at the end of the year, not proactive. You're being reactive if you fire his ass tomorrow and not being proactive. You knew coming, you committed to this season. You committed to this team. Your son came out there and put his foot in his mouth and said he didn't want to set the market for Zeke Elliott. You signed Zeke Elliott to a record contract before the season even started. You told your son to fuck himself, which you should have done. You have spent all types of money on that offensive line. You gave DeMarcus Lawrence his money. You paid Jalen Smith. You've made deals as it relates to draft picks to obtain a Robert Quinn because you knew Randy Gregory wasn't going to play this year. To add depth, you went out and got a Bennett, like I mentioned earlier. Why would you fuck this up by letting Jason Garrett continue to coach the Dallas Cowboys? Because I understand that, you know what, he went in the playoffs last year. He got to the second round. He did an okay job. He didn't deserve to be fired. Well, you know what? He also didn't deserve to keep his job. That's the nature of the beast. That's what we're dealing with here. Because you don't pay all the money Jerry Jones is paying to be good. You pay that money to be great. If that man is not the person to lead you into greatness, what is he doing here? If he's here because you want him here, he's your guy. He's somebody you handpicked. When the Ravens wanted to give him money to be the head coach, you gave him all that money to stay in Dallas as an assistant because you knew Wade Phillips was on borrowed time. You used Wade. You used Wade to tell Jason, it's just a matter of time before that job is yours. Stay home, Mr. Princeton graduate. Look where it's got you. You're in front of the media crying. For what? All this shit is your fault. The house, you look, that big ass, like you spend so much money to keep the Cowboys relevant. You spend so much money to make sure that is a product that not the people will be proud of, but something that will continue to generate interest and revenue for years and years to come, right? But here you are having a conversation with your son about who's going to be the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. I know you've had that conversation. I know you can't wait to call Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma. You made a comment recently that you feel that Jason Garrett is going to be coaching the NFL next year. That is not a vote of confidence because you didn't say where he'd be coaching. A vote of confidence is he'll be our head coach next season. You didn't say that. You're saying he's worthy of being the head coach in the league. I disagree. But that's neither here nor there. Why get this far to find out that you were wrong when you knew you were wrong in the beginning? Because he's your guy? It's his business. It's his business. If he was going to lead you to the Super Bowl, you'd already been there. Period. He's had his opportunities. He hasn't even come close. The second round of nothing is close. All right? I want to make sure we're clear on that. So, I think you guys, the loophole. No, y'all didn't expect Jerry Jones. He wasn't one of the goddamn contestants, but you should have seen this shit coming. Use your goddamn some common sense. That's all I got this week, man. I want to appreciate y'all for tuning in to me, man. Please, please, please continue to hit those like buttons. Please continue to hit those subscribe buttons, man. I really appreciate your time taking your time out to listen to me, man. You can follow me on social media at thehotseat19 on Twitter. You can follow me at the Hot Seat 19 on Instagram. I will be back here shortly. It'll be something probably NBA related, if not something dealing with the Florida State coaching search. But again, I appreciate your time. You are officially off the hot seat. Y'all be good.